Prepare yourself, George Santos. It's Big News Wednesday. Welcome everyone to the show. I'm John Iadarola, and it being Big News Wednesday and all, Jayar Jackson joins us. How's it going, Jayar?
What's going on, John? I want to go ahead and address right off the top. We need to address the elephant in the room, aka how embarrassing this is. Who knew? Who knew that?
Who knew? Who knew?
The exact same shirt on the exact same day on the exact same program. Listen, this is embarrassing at the party when you're wearing the same dress. I've heard women complain about from back in the 80s.
Yeah, I've experienced
so
that.
Maybe this is a similar thing. I just don't know why.
Yeah, I will say that I don't mind it as much with you and with the fact that our lower third mostly covers the icon anyway. But when I would come in for like the main show and it would be me and Jank and we'd both be wearing the same t-shirt, like it's a wide shot, it is significantly more embarrassing.
Oh, really?
If we used to always just look at each other and be like, did we have another shirt here? Anyway, but shirts aside, that's a big development, admittedly. But aside from that, we have other developments as well, including for George Santos. Could this be the last day that he's a representative? We'll see. Maybe something will happen live over on air. And then we got to talk about the debt limit and the insane financial hypocrisy on the part of the right. Wait until you see what they want to cut and what they want to leave in. It is amazing. It is like if I were designing it to show how corrupt our Congress was, I couldn't do it any better. And then Elon Musk's interview with, I believe it's CNBC. Yeah, it is one of the cringiest like softball interviews I've ever seen in my life. Like he is a danger to himself and his financial interests. I will say that. And then we got a lot more awesome stuff besides. We're gonna be talking about AI. We're gonna be talking about impeachment week. Did everybody know it's impeachment week? A fifth of it already went by and nobody even knew. But anyway, Marjorie Greene is gonna try to remind us, and then there's more beers that you shouldn't buy or whatever, assuming that you're the weakest man in America. And I hear there's news on Lauren Boebert. So we'll check in on what that is. But anyway, with all that said, please hit the like button and share the stream, everybody, and send us your comments, tweets, and super chats, and Jayar and I will respond as we go. You might even get yourself a Blue Apron gift card with a particularly good comment, so consider sending some in. And with all that said, Jayar, are you ready to start the show?
Let's do it, bro.
Let's do it. Let's start with this.
Republicans need to do the right thing, and we need to expel George Santos. What he has done is very, very serious. We are here to support truth, support accountability, support justice. And Kevin McCarthy, unfortunately, has empowered the extreme fringe in his party, like George Santos, to take critical votes, to get classified briefings, and he has absolutely no business in Congress.
Yes, today is going to be a big day for George Santos, or at least it might be. The Republicans are trying to ward off this privileged resolution that you can see there, Representative Robert Garcia talking about, to potentially expel George Santos from Congress. Could happen today, maybe tomorrow. But anyway, it's supposed to happen within the next 2 days. And it could force vulnerable Republicans into the difficult position of whether to protect whoever that is next to me. You can see him. I've heard George Santos, I've heard DeValder, I've heard Revanche. There's a lot of different labels that you can put on him. But anyway, this would require a 2/3 majority to pass. There are 50 Democratic co-sponsors, according to Representative Robert Garcia. Nearly a dozen House Republicans have called for Santos to step down, but only one, Representative Tony Gonzalez, has gone as far as to say that he should be expelled. As of right now, Kevin McCarthy, the rest of Republican leadership are standing by him. And it just seems so needless. I feel like this has provided the charges, the 13 charges of fraud and basically everything else against George Santos, which represents, of course, a very tiny percentage of all the crimes he apparently has enthusiastically committed over the years. This provides an opportunity for the House Republicans to be like, yeah, put it forward, we all vote for it, he's gone, we move on. In 48 hours, they could never have to hear about George Santos again. But instead, because all they're worried about is slippery slopes. Well, slippery slopes and people of color. Those are the two things they're worried about. If they could, they're so worried that if they give in, then it's gonna look bad. And they're missing the fact that not giving in means that you stay by George Santos's side, and that looks terrible. He's gonna end up getting booted anyway, probably in the Republican primary. Why not just speed it up and get someone who's not gonna be such a constant embarrassment? There will be more charges, there'll be more investigations, there'll be more lies, and they're locking themselves in to have to defend him on those too. But Jayar, what do you think?
Yeah, it's the first question I was writing down right here. I was like, so what's their purpose for trying to protect this guy? We understand their purpose when they're trying to protect, Trump over everything he's got going, the multitude of all these scandals and investigations. But the thing is, here's like, what is it about Santos? They're looking to not alienate his supporters. Who are Santos supporters that aren't general Republican supporters that'll support anyone who sticks their face in this one position? It's strictly, I think, this is my guess. Trump is the powerful person in the party, so fine. In this particular case, I think there's a concern for if you expel this guy, it sets this precedence. So then once we start finding other corrupt individuals within the party, they go, well, you expelled George Santos for doing corrupt things, stealing money, covering this up, co-sponsoring a bill that actually targets people like him. And then once we start finding other folks, it doesn't have to be necessarily Republicans, other politicians that fall under that same problem, even though they're more established, they haven't had multiple identities, they weren't lying about their entire resume before they got into office. But those are the folks that we find the problems with their corruption. We're gonna set that precedence where they're either gonna have to get expelled as well. Asking someone to step down is simple. You just be like, well, step down, please. And if they don't, we go, oh, well, I guess he didn't want to. If you expel them, that means other folks' actions then have to start acting on the next person who they discover that's corrupt.
Yeah. See, I get what you're saying. I think that that's probably the right read. But I also think that you could, in a really cynical, dishonest way, flip that around. And again, have them all vote to expel him, and then come out and have Kevin McCarthy say, a lot of people might think we should be scared of setting a precedent or whatever. I'm not scared of setting a precedent. I want to set a precedent. Republicans have shown the precedent is we take out the corrupt, even if they're close to home. Whereas those damn corrupt Democrats are letting Hunter Biden, blah, blah, 5G, whatever it is. It would be totally dishonest and they wouldn't actually care about it. But you could put that to your benefit, I think. And it would be so easy because he sucks. He sucks. He's gonna hurt them more in the future. He's not gonna be a congressperson in 2 years anyway. This isn't protecting the majority whip or something. It's a total clown bozo. And they're still gonna have other clown bozos after him. It's not like you're losing diversity in terms of clown bozos.
That is their concern, though. I wonder if that's part of the concern. We'd have another puppet to sit in this spot.
Maybe. I think it's just the Democrats aren't allowed to have a win. Anything we perceive as being a win for them cannot be allowed. It doesn't matter how much it hurts us to do the opposite. Yeah. Anyway, that's not all that's going on when it comes to the House. Why don't we move on to Kevin McCarthy and his new position on the debt ceiling race?
What work requirements actually do, help people get a job. Every data point shows that, and it helps people move forward. So the public wants it. Both parties want it. The idea that they want to put us into a default because they will not work with on that is ludicrous to me.
And you're talking about SNAP. What program are you talking about specifically?
Look, we're talking about all the programs because it helps people get into a job. And what does it mean when somebody gets in a job? They get better pay. They're able to buy their houses, but it also helps our supply chain going forward.
Okay, so Kevin McCarthy is flailing there a bit at the end where he's like, they get money and then with money you can buy like a house or something. Yeah, we get the concept of money, buddy. That's not the issue here. There's two significant issues that are raised in that clip, of course. I want to start though with the all programs. So see, the reporter was like, you mean SNAP? Like they have to have work requirements to do SNAP? No, all the programs. All of the programs. Medicare, Medicaid, Social Security. Is retirement gone? I really would have nuanced that a little bit more because it sounds like you want people on Social Security to have to work 30 hours a week. We'll see if that's what he means. I wouldn't put it past him. But more importantly, his argument there is one of the most bumbling, unconvincing bit of rhetorical sleight of hand that I've ever seen in my life. Requiring work helps people get a job. That's not what those words mean. Well, if that's the case, then you must be fine with vaccine mandates because requiring vaccines helps people get vaccines. Requiring licenses helps people get licenses. That's not what those things, you just want them to have to work, and you're like pretending that it's a helpful thing. It's also, of course, obscuring tons of misinformation when it comes to the work requirements, because many people that you want to force to have jobs are not in a medical situation to be able to work the hours that you're expecting of them. And he's pitching all of it as, we're gonna help people raise them. No, you're not helping anyone. The help is the benefit, that's already there. You want them to have to work harder to get the help that has been available for decades. You're hindering them, that's the opposite of help. Anyway, that's just the first part of all of the hypocrisy on offer from Kevin McCarthy. But Jayar, why don't you weigh in?
Yeah, I was actually startled. I don't know why. With Kevin McCarthy being at this level of the deliberations and conversations and apparently negotiations with Joe Biden and whoever else they're talking about with this whole thing over. And this is the kind of response you have. This is the specificity that he's come with when it comes to the media. That all of it, any of it, all I know is work requirements, because that's for some reason the one phrase that sits in his head that he thinks he can sell to the American people enough that he think, oh, this being a fiscally responsible Republican hates all the people in the country, absolutely doesn't represent anything that they want or are saying to them, but just work requirements, and that's all I have to say. And with any kind of specific question about what kind of things, all of them. How is it that you're at this level within this deliberation and you're only there? It tells me that either he hasn't been participating in these things, or he doesn't want to talk about where they've gone, or they really have no plan. And the thought is just, as long as I say this one phrase, people will back me. No, the kind of actual thought process you have to have behind legislating and actually representing people goes further than this. But I feel like they've kind of taken, ironically, taken the day off from their work when they're telling everyone to get to work with these work requirements. They won't even do the job to the extent to even have a responsible approach to this. Instead, they'll just say work requirements. About what, Kevin? I don't know. I'm just the Speaker of the House. I don't know.
How can I be expected to understand that? But the reason that we wanted to bring that up is I want to transition into not just the demonizing of people who desperately need these benefits, who, by the way, have earned those benefits by, look, I would just say, living in America, but I guess that's a radical position, paying into the system year after year after year after year. That was the work. They pre-worked. Now you want them to also work at the same time. Take a look at the workload, by the way, of the average congressperson. Take a look at like how fine he was with Marjorie Greene. She didn't even have to do the committee hearings and everything. Anyway, I want to transition out of the bigger financial hypocrisy here. At the same time that the Republicans are bargaining with Biden about raising the debt ceiling and putting on the chopping block, basically insert a social program, insert something the government does. It's all going to be cut. There are some things they want to maintain, and weirdly, considering how much of a focus they've put on wanting to take down the deficit and worried about the national debt, although they didn't worry about it under Donald Trump or George W. Bush or Reagan or any of them, they do want to continue the Trump tax cuts for the rich, which would individually, just continuing that for the next chunk of years, would add $3.5 trillion. Now that's future debt. They've already added trillions of dollars from the first set of years off of the Trump tax cuts. So the fact that the deficit needs to be brought down, inevitably, as it always is, by a Democratic president who comes in after a Republican and then desperately has to, take down the deficit again. All that it contributed to the national debt. They don't talk about that. They don't have an issue with that. That's all free, except that it's not. It costs something, but the benefits go to the richest people of the country, so they're perfectly fine with it. On the other hand, I guess to make up for the $3.5 trillion, they want to balance the scales. And I need you to evaluate whether you think this is a fair balance. They want to reduce government spending to 2022 levels, take back COVID funding, expand work requirements, as we've talked about, for welfare programs, food stamps, end the student loan payment pause, and block any relief for student debtors, protect gas ovens. What the hell that has to do with anything, I don't know, but this is just supposed to be a fantastical grab bag. And roll back large parts of the Inflation Reduction Act, which wouldn't just reduce some of the benefit from that, but a lot of the benefit from the IRA was designed to provide jobs all over the place. Not just in the coasts or in blue cities. There are tons of red districts that if they do this, if they successfully cut the IRA, are gonna lose a bunch of jobs, and that's why he's having trouble winning over a number of Republicans on this. And so look, there's a lot here, but isn't it amazing, Jayar, that in one fell swoop, they'll blow a multi-trillion-dollar hole in the deficit and the debt. And then to balance it, not even to balance it out, it's not gonna save nearly as much. They wanna cut effectively everything.
This is the plan, right? This is what it's always been. These are the same things over and over and over again. And anybody who follows politics through more than one cycle, being in presidential and then midterms where, Congress folks and senators are trying to reposition themselves, you'll always find these promises or things that they say they're gonna do, or then the fights over stuff like inflation and then the debt and deficit and constant. It goes in the same cycles over and over and over again. And again, just even from the first time with these Trump tax cuts, no, they don't acknowledge the damage that it did to the economy. It doesn't damage, they don't talk about the damage it does to regular folks. Because for some reason they feel, and maybe they're right, they've conditioned enough regular folks into feeling like, yeah, we deserve to be in this position where we just suck. We can't afford anything. We have no recourse with our government that we pay into. And everybody's supposed at the top is supposed to keep getting our money. It's supposed to keep happening that way. We're supposed to give them our money. And I'm not sure why they keep thinking that folks are gonna keep buying this. As he then said, get a house and then you get a job, then you can buy a house. Where? With what money?
Yeah.
Then if you get these extra, these work requirements, then people can make more money, higher wages. From where? From the same folks that you're not forcing to pay anyone any higher wages than the bare minimum? Where's that gonna come from? There's never the second question. It's the simplest questions ever. Hey, Kevin, where? Hey, when? Yeah. Who's gonna do this? How is this gonna work out? There's never those answers. It'll just happen that way. We can cut 3.5 trillion more and damage this economy further. Then after we lose our midterms and maybe even presidential elections, we'll then blame the Democrats who are trying to figure this whole thing out. Man, it's the same cycle.
Yeah, and there's never even can you imagine if Matt Gaetz, who gets hundreds of thousands of dollars of COVID relief, just forgiven, it's gone. That he had to take, we're gonna, you got the money, whatever, but we are gonna need something out of you. So we're gonna have you do some community service, to give back. So much has been given to you. So you're gonna have to do 30 hours a week of community service. Or for the bankers who get bailed out to the tune of billions of dollars, we saved you, but you guys have obviously proven to be irresponsible. So the CEO, CFO, the board, all of you are gonna have to take intense ethics and business responsibility courses for the next 2 years or whatever. There's never any onus. There's no personal shaming or requirements placed onto them for monumentally larger sums of money than the parent who needs food stamps.
Yeah.
Because you taking the food stamps, that isn't a structural thing. That's not a systemic issue. That's on you. You failed, so now you need to pay. Forget the fact that every single thing he said about work requirements has been proven over and over and over again to not be true. Every word out of him is a myth. Even if it was true, it is still designed to shame, to stigmatize. But we would never shame and stigmatize the CEO because they're better than us. They're smarter than us. They're more moral than us. We're peasants and we should be looking up to them. We should be worshiping them. They're probably geniuses. Even though they get way more money, way more focus, way more immediate accountability from the government. Isn't it weird how that always works out?
We always talk about how regular folks are lazy. I'm sorry, you have more to go. We have to go to the break.
No. You get the final point.
We talk about the laziness of regular folks all the time. Not we, but politicians. Laziness of regular folks. Go get a job. How dare you guys actually want some kind of assistance for the system that you paid into? Apparently, you're a citizen of the greatest country in the history of the world. We keep telling everyone that, but there's no benefit to that. What the F is the point of being a citizen of this great country if you're treated like a non-citizen? If you're treated like someone who they absolutely hate. Every turn you're getting talked about how much a piece of garbage that you are, even though you keep fulfilling this role in this government that you get nothing back from. They've somehow told everyone that that's the approach. A perfect example, what about these CEOs and everyone what kind of work are they doing? Are we monitoring the work they do on a daily basis? Hey, there's a guy who points out everything he does every day. He's a CEO, he owns Twitter. His name is Elon Musk. This guy is a perfect example of how little people like him, not saying every CEO, people like him do, which is little to nothing. And then as we're gonna find out later, likes to just tweet. And that's the purpose of his life. And we're gonna praise people like that instead of the folks who work their ass off every day and then we call them pieces of garbage. The upside down nature of the country is on full display. It's a matter of whether or not the people who are getting destroyed over this are gonna finally realize it, man.
Jared, he just was interviewed and said, there's like a day or two a year where I don't do a significant amount of work. Who the hell thinks that? Who the hell thinks that? Oh, he's got opportunities for work. He's the CEO of like 7 companies. Yeah. Ask him to name them. Off the top of his head, name the different obligations that you have that you should be doing on a day. He couldn't even remember it. And Tesla has been given billions of dollars from the government. He's not going to be required to check in every week with an employment office or anything, or maybe put down the phone. Anyway, with that said, we're going to take our first break. When we come back, we got a lot more to get to. Don't go anywhere. Okay, K-Chan says, John, one tweet a day is significant work. Well, okay, one random tweet is not significant work, but when every one of his tweets is a certified banger in terms of cleverness and comedy and all that, well, then I guess I have to give him credit. If they were sucky tweets, then that's not work. Anyway, thank you everyone for being here. Thank you for the messages that have already come in. I'm gonna respond to some of them. Gabby Marita says, thank you, Gabby. In the members' comments, Emma yesterday and Jayar today are the best possible back-to-back TDR co-hosts. Rehearsals at work are done for the week, so I'll even get to watch Jayar on the watch list later while making dinner. So excited. That's awesome. Glad to hear it.
Exciting. Thank you.
If you're as big of a fan, everyone, of Jayar as you say you are, have you considered repping the Jayar rated?
I mean, they come in tees and they come in hoodies. I'm just saying, yeah. It's pretty obvious.
Is there
it's on full display?
Is there an official watch list shirt?
No, they were developing a hat, but the problem with hats is I have to wear fitted ones, and these adjustable ones just don't really work out for me.
Then make a shirt. There should be a shirt. I'll wear a shirt. Give me a shirt. Anyway, Gabby also said George Santos looks like an adult Eric Cartman. I think I heard him once say that he was an adult Eric Cartman, actually. And he came up with South Park, which is impressive because it's been on the air for a long time. Anyway, Cadillac, welcome to Tier 1 membership. Glad to have you here. Fish Dancer, welcome to Tier 2 membership. And Tier 2 membership on YouTube, by the way, you get access to the top 10 lists I do every week, generally with Francesca Fiorentini. There are only about 200 of them. So if you're looking for a little bit of fun conversation, I like to throw stuff like that on in like my commute and everything. Become a member and you get access to it. Fish Dancer also not only became a member, but then immediately gifted a Damage Report membership. Thank you so much for that. Swidane Dragon gifted 5 memberships. Swidane Dragon, thank you as always for all the work you do to make the community so welcoming. Really do appreciate it. Arthur Ashbrook sent a very generous super chat. Thank you for that, saying, John, you have to go on the watch list on Wednesdays to make it a complete big news Wednesday. I know you do the second hour with Anna, but you get an hour break between the watch list and that. So that's not an excuse. You're not technically wrong. Look, I'll do it. What I need everyone in the audience to understand is, if you imagine that I get a request via email to be on the watch list and I click no, that's not happening. I'm just not getting the requests. So I can't go on the show. I can't force my way on the show. Actually, technically the door doesn't lock. I think I could force myself in, but I'm not gonna do that. But we'll see, I would like to do it.
We'll work on it.
Coco Belly gifted 5 subs over on Twitch. Thank you for that, very nice of you. Okay, CK Progressive says TYT needs to do what every other office has done already, dump Skype and switch to Microsoft Teams. It's still Microsoft, but at least they acknowledge that workers are on a team, so there's that. I don't know anything about Teams. I think my wife uses Teams. I think we might be switching over to a different one. We did that test, Mike. We should check in on if we're gonna go forward with that because Skype has some issues, as was exemplified by the fact that when Representative Ro Khanna signed off of our interview with him, it killed the entire call. That's why the show ended. Anyway, May Money in the Building says in a super chat, oof, Jayar, your hat is fuego, but I can't get down with the traitors. Oakland is getting done so dirty. Get your clout out here and leave is the formula.
Well, they're getting the A's.
I don't get any of that.
The baseball team, they're getting the A's.
Yeah.
The Raiders, traitors, she's calling because they were in Oakland for a while and they moved to Vegas. As will multiple other teams. Another Bay Area team apparently is trying to put some plans together for a stadium out there too. So
yeah,
everybody's taking off.
Yeah,
maybe we'll welcome that. Vegas. How about the Las Vegas Warriors?
Yeah, what about them? What about those people?
No, they need
anyway. I have 2 sports related things to raise to Jayar during the social break. So we'll get to that eventually. But I think it's time for more news, everyone. Let's jump right into this.
You know, do your tweets hurt the company? Are there Tesla owners who say, I don't agree with his political position because, and I know it because he shares so much of it? Or are there advertisers on Twitter that Linda Yaccarino will come and say, you gotta stop, man. Or, I can't get these ads because of some of the things you tweet.
I'm reminded of the scene in The Princess Bride.
Oh, sorry. I thought you were eventually reminded of the fact that you're in a live interview on CNBC, you weirdo. That's the longest pause I've ever seen on TV, I think. That is Elon Musk in an incredibly friendly interview on a business network. This guy just wants Elon Musk to be successful, so number go up. That's all he wants. He just said, do your tweets potentially hurt the business? The answer should be no. It would be a lie, but that's the thing that you say, and you say it with less than 15 seconds to think about it. And after all of that thought, if the best thing you could come up with is, it reminds me of Princess Bride, then you better come up with a good reason for that. And I say that not only because I have high expectations of prominent individuals in American society, but also because I love Princess Bride. So that said, what do you got when it comes to Princess Bride?
I'm reminded of the scene in The Princess Bride. Great movie.
Great movie.
Where he confronts the person who killed his father. And he says, offer me money. Offer me power. I don't care.
So you just don't care. You want to share what you have to say.
I'll say what I want to say, and if the consequence of that is losing money, so be it.
Okay, we're gonna get to the significant issue with his approach as a CEO of multiple companies being, I don't care if the totally optional own goals I perform on myself every day hurts the business. I'm fine with that. That's the substance, and we will get to it. But I said that I was a big fan of Princess Bride. So I also have to take issue with the fact that if you're gonna weirdly, bizarrely, and incredibly slowly turn to that quote, you could at least get it mildly right. He says, offer me money. Power two, promise me that. All that I offer me everything I ask for. I want my father back, you son of a, I can actually say it, but I'm not gonna say it just in case. That's the quote. It's amazing. It brings tears to my eyes every time I watch it. And it's not anything like what you said, which you just turned into a selfish, knee-jerk 5-year-old boy version of, I don't care what happens, I'm gonna say the thing I wanna say. So Princess Bride aside, Jayar, he was asked if him randomly tweeting things like, as we're gonna turn to, anti-Semitic comments about George Soros hurts his business, should you perhaps not do that? And he says, what are you talking about? I will do what I'm gonna do. I don't care, it's free speech. And I will give him this, that is exactly what he actually believes. He thinks if I have a thought, I should say it. He has no ability to understand how people will interpret what he says, what effect it'll have on his reputation. That has become clear for multiple years. He has no ability to read literally any of this. So he's gonna do it. If I was on the board of one of these companies, if I was a major investor in one of these companies, you should be terrified about this because that is not at all what you want out of your CEO. But what do you think?
It's full display of privilege. I get to say what I want. And if it costs me money, that's fine. Again, I'm glad you brought up the board, people on the board and shareholders and all that, because I have this feeling they do care whether or not that costs them money, the company money. If you're just tweeting out random stuff that's always considered or determined to be false, misleading, conspiratorial, any of that stuff, it just keeps happening. And also it reveals his whole purpose for doing this. I bought Twitter so that I could say what I want to say and that my friends can say what they want to say and that nobody is stopping us from lying. That's what it is. That's all this is. And it took him 12 seconds of a pause to realize that. I was wondering, John, I said, maybe he's trying to think of the line. Maybe he hadn't seen the film in a while. I've seen the movie once in my life. I was 12 years old. I don't
Oh,
remember
you should
the
watch
line.
it again. It's great.
Yeah, it may flash on TV every once in a while, and if I catch it in the middle, I don't know if it's on that funny scene where I think wasn't Andre the Giant in it.
He was.
And then the little dude with the lisp. Like,
yes.
If any of those guys are having their scenes, I'm watching that scene. Then I turn. But okay. Maybe he's just trying to remember the line. So Elon, picture it this way: if this guy isn't a multi-billionaire, and he's just some idiot off the streets, or he's just some guy running for office. There's anytime there's people running for office and they're low level, no big name figures, and then they say random stuff on TV and we laugh at them. Picture that same interview with someone who isn't a billionaire and who isn't telling everyone that they're important, and we would laugh him right off of the television. We go, who is this clown? Why is this crazy person on CNBC? Why are they talking to him like what he's saying means anything? This is how controlled we are by money. He can be the biggest clown in the world, have the most senseless answer that means nothing, and just says, I can do it. And we'll go, what a great, amazing human being. Wow, he's a genius. That's what we base on.
Glorious genius. It's ridiculous.
That's how we got Donald Trump.
Yeah, like look, I'm not investing in Tesla, not directly anyway. Should probably look at mutual funds and stuff. Anyway, yeah, if you like, I don't know how you maintain any faith in him. He is already showing you that when there is a direct, like, you can do something that benefits the company, or you can just say the stupid, nonsensical thing that's in your head. He's gonna choose that one. And I'm not talking about like, that's how I read things. He was asked to make that choice, and he said, I'm gonna go with this one. And his actual business choices are abysmal. He can't run a company. I understand that Tesla is doing well. I understand that people want to put all of that on Elon Musk, even though he didn't even start the company and he didn't design the cars. They did come up with a really good idea, which was to actually make an electric car, which for some reason, up until very recently, the other major car manufacturers didn't want to do. So that benefited them, perhaps more than Elon Musk's involvement. Now, granted, without Musk, you probably wouldn't have had someone throw a brick through a window live on stage, but so I'll give him that. But anyway, this is a disaster, and the boards, the investors, how are they not reining this in, taking back more control? If Tesla is gonna succeed, it is gonna succeed despite him, and it'll be more likely to succeed without him. Now that said, let's jump into this last video.
Properly, but I mean, you know what you wrote, but you basically.
It reminds me of Magneto. It's just like, calm down, people. This is not like made a federal case out of it.
You also, you said he wants to erode the very fabric of civilization, and Soros hates humanity. Like, when you do something like that, do you?
Yeah, I think that's true. That's my opinion.
Okay, but why share it? Why share it? Especially, why share it when people who buy Teslas may not agree with you, advertisers on Twitter may not agree with you. Why not just say, hey, I think this. You can tell me, we can talk about it over there, you can tell your friends, but why share it widely?
I mean, this is freedom of speech. I'm allowed to say what I want.
You absolutely are, but I'm trying to understand why you do, because you have to know it's got it puts you in the middle of the partisan divide in the country. It makes you a lightning rod for criticism. I mean, do you like that? People today saying he's an anti-Semite. I don't think you are.
No, I'm definitely. I'm like a pro-Semite, if anything.
I believe that probably is the case.
Yes.
But why would you even introduce the idea then that would be the case?
I mean, look, we don't want to make this a George Soros interview.
No, God, no. I don't want to at all.
Again, reminders throughout that video that this was an incredibly friendly interview. That guy was like desperately trying to help handhold Elon Musk through this thing. But take a look at how much hypocrisy there is in that, and also revelations of who Elon Musk is as a person. Why would you say that? Well, it's freedom of speech. Yes, we get that, you dullard. Why did you say it? We're not saying, can you legally say it? Nobody thinks the government's going to take down by force your tweet. Why did you make the choice to say it? And do you understand that when you say something, people hear it and then think differently of you, perhaps respond as a result of it? He doesn't seem to understand fundamentally what communication is. He thinks, no, you just say whatever you want. Well, to be fair, he doesn't entirely believe that, because he also was getting incredibly uncomfortable about the fact that the interviewer dared to ask about the tweet at all. Because then he said initially, let's not make a federal case out of it. And then at the end, he said, let's not make this a George Soros interview. Well, hold on, buddy. I thought you were a free speech absolutist. You sat down in front of the guy. He can say whatever the hell he wants to you. If he wants to ask 30 follow-ups about George Soros, he can do that. I thought that was your whole thing. But anyway, and he's being protected by the guy. Yeah, I believe that you're a pro-Semite. I believe that it was just a joke or whatever, even though he already said it's not just a joke, he means it. He thinks that the most prominent Jewish billionaire that's been identified by the right as a boogeyman hates humanity and wants to destroy it. And I shouldn't need to remind people of why that is an issue, but I just want to read, there was a great op-ed on The Atlantic about why this trope of he's a supervillain is so corrosive. Here's a section of it. Criticizing George Soros is not inherently anti-Semitic. He's one of the world's richest men and most influential philanthropists, as well as the Democratic Party's largest single donor, and his views undoubtedly warrant scrutiny and debate. But Musk was not taking issue with a particular statement or position put forward by Soros. He was presenting him as an avatar of evil. He painted Soros as a literal comic book villain. This is the language of anti-Semitism through the ages, which perpetually casts powerful Jewish actors as the embodiment of social and political ill. Rather than treat Jews like humans who are fallible and often mistaken, this mindset refashions them into sinister superhumans who intentionally impose their malign designs on the masses, and conveniently distracts from other potential influences on politics. As Thor Benson rightly points out, the first guy is saying the second guy is too powerful. Elon Musk, worth $177 billion, thinks that George Soros, worth $6.7 billion, controls the entire world. And Elon Musk says this after literally unilaterally purchasing a social media outlet to reshape political communication to fit in with his political values. Has George Soros done that? Did George Soros buy Facebook? Did George Soros buy TikTok? No, it looks like there is one billionaire who's going around buying things to radically affect politics, but it isn't George Soros in this case. Jared, I'm
curious what they think George Soros has done. Next time someone asks you guys, hey, yo, but George Soros, like, what did he do? When did he do it? How did he do it? How much did he put towards it? How did that thing that George Soros did affect what you're so pissed off about right now? There's no answer for it. As you point out, he's a boogeyman. He's an avatar. He's there as this placeholder for this whole outrage and to say that's what's happening. If there's a DA that's prosecuting Donald Trump, it's George Soros. If there's a police officer that somehow decided to start turning on and talking about the things that have happened, it's George Soros. He must have funded him. Doesn't matter. Hey, you know, I heard John? We're funded by George Soros. He comes in every day and he goes, hey, what's up, Jayar? And I'm like, hey, what's up, George? How you feeling, bro? We just hang out. George Soros is everywhere. George Soros is just like Joe Biden. He's feeble, he's old, and he can't think. And then he's also a mastermind, he's everywhere, and he funds everything. I don't know how those two things are possible, but they're definitely possible in the cartoon world. Lastly, one more thing here. So his opinion is that he's destroying humanity and he's looking to destroy all of human being and everyone around. How is it being a multi-billionaire? How does it help you to sustain your wealth? If you're looking to destroy the very people in this capitalistic country that help fuel your wealth, fuel your billions, because that's where they get it from, everyone else. How is it that destroying these folks is gonna help you sustain your money? Because we already know anyone who's obtained billions of dollars somehow has definitely done it off the backs of people in some form or fashion. It's impossible not to. So why would you destroy those people? It doesn't make any sense. And if you actually have an opinion, you go, that's my opinion. What's your opinion based on? Why is that your opinion? What is it that's happened to allow you to believe that? It's okay if that's your opinion, but usually when people have opinions, it's because they thought something beforehand and went, you know what? Because of this thing, I think that. What is it that happened, bro? But the other guy's too busy kissing his ass to ask him any of those questions.
Yeah, he got him to look bad, but not really intentionally. I don't know the interview's politics, but these were again, they were own goals because Elon Musk is not a genius. He's simply not a genius. And I will end with an offer that I will make to Elon Musk because Elon Musk would have you believe coming out of that interview that he is against this sort of corrosive money in politics. He's not. He's not. He's against George Soros's money in politics. He's not against money in politics. He's not against billionaire money in politics. I'll make this offer to Elon Musk and to every right winger in the country. You think you want George Soros's money out of politics? No, I want George Soros's money out of politics and all of the other rich a-holes' money too. Whether it's an individual or a corporation or a PAC, or I don't give a damn. I want all of it out of there, and then you never have to worry about this stuff ever again. Would you like to take that deal? We could shake on it. I have a feeling you're probably not gonna shake. Anyway, we're to be back in just a sec. SK says, JR, you're not being fair. Dark Brandon is a man to be feared after he re-energizes by drinking the blood of babies. They actually believe that. Anyway, okay, there's a lot of messages. I'm gonna try to catch up a little bit. Pitchforks Dragon says, JR, that Raiders hat is hella clean. We hate it. That's funny.
It's actually, it's maybe clean, but it's physically dirty.
Yeah. Night Parade Dragon says, Big Abe once said, reputation is the shadow, character is the tree. Republicans seem to be all shadow and no substance. J&J Wednesday, go Krakens. Thank you, much appreciated. Rialan says, concerning, that's always what Elon Musk replies to whatever a right-wing grifter posts. Yoda says, JR, what size is your dome? Or do you prefer snapback over fitted? A year late, but finally booked a ticket home to Boston. I owe you a Celtics hat, should arrive just after they win the finals.
Well, I assume if they don't win the finals, I won't get that Celtics hat. It's my hair. I wear an 8. I have no idea what my actual normal head size is. I haven't done that in a long time. But which means snapbacks are always too small, no matter how far you go.
I gotcha. Nice offer though. Thank you.
Thank you though.
Galfar says AEW just announced a second live TV show on Saturday night starting on 6/17. Thank you for the update, Galfar. I struggle to keep up with Raw and SmackDown. I can't keep up with NXT. There's no way I keep up with a totally different thing. I'm sorry. I've made my choice.
How could you?
Anyway, sorry about that. Oh, by the way, speaking of sports, we were talking about sports before. By any chance, did you watch Air, JR?
It's so weird. Literally, my producer this morning asked me. He said he just watched it. I'm boycotting Air like conservatives are boycotting Miller Lite.
Why? How come?
Anything with Ben Affleck and Matt Damon, and it's about somebody completely different that has a huge name like Michael Jordan and Nike and Air Jordans, and suddenly we see their faces all over the promos. I feel like that's a bit self-serving. It's probably about them. I don't know. I don't know that.
Yeah. Well, to be fair, Michael Jordan is not really a character in the thing. Yeah. And Michael Jordan gave the movie his blessing. He was involved in the production of. Anyway, I'm just saying I don't even care about basketball. But I thought it was good. And by the way, I tolerate Ben Affleck. I like Matt Damon a good bit. I found it to be pretty fascinating, by the way. I've never even owned Jordans, and I found it to be fascinating.
I've liked movies both of them are in when it's not them making their character.
Yeah,
they're both great actors.
It's much more Matt Damon than Ben Affleck.
Oh, it is, okay.
To be fair, Ben Affleck is a small part of it. Matt Damon's the star, basically. But anyway, I found it to be interesting. It left me thinking maybe I should buy some Jordans actually, which I guess is the point of the movie perhaps. But anyway.
That's why Jordan was a part of it.
Yeah, probably. Oh my God, the amount of money he has made off of those Jordans, jeez. Anyway, I found it to be fascinating. By the way, while I don't generally watch basketball, once the Clippers stadium is done, I would like to go to a game. Maybe we could go to a game because I think I could walk to it and it's looking pretty cool and it's gonna be done within a year. It's just so exciting how many stadiums are all in that one stretch. I hope it's really cool. I've heard good things. It's right near SoFi, which is mind blowing. Mm-hmm. Anyway, we'll see how it works out. Okay, let's see. But Mags, member for 2 months, says, "Hey Johnny Pie, can you say happy B-Day to my dog Gladdy? My dragon hatched for Big News Wednesday. My life is complete. Love you all, Dragon fam. Gladdy, happy birthday.
Gladdy
birthday to you." Anyway, and Gabby Mass, member for 29 months, says this GOP reminds me of any concentration camp. At the entrance, it reads, "Arbeit macht frei, work makes you free." That's funny. That was actually a joke. They're related to that in Succession, interestingly. Thank you for the message. We'll be right back. I want to take Donkey Teeth Bite says, best part about Clippers Arena is there won't be any banners to disturb your view. I don't understand why. Is that because people aren't enthusiastic fans?
Because they haven't won. They haven't won anything. Championship banners.
Wait, they've never won?
The Clippers?
oh, now I kind of want to get in on the ground floor then.
Yeah.
But anyway, that is funny, I guess, now that I know the context. I thought it was a joke about it not being a WWE event or something where you want to have people with like their signs. By the way, everyone, the members hangout will be tomorrow. Today's Wednesday. It'll be tomorrow. Tier 3 members on YouTube, we're gonna be hanging out, chatting a little bit. So feel free to become or upgrade your Tier 3 membership. If you're already a Tier 3 member, just set out the time. It happens half an hour after the show ends on Thursday. Okay, with that said, why don't we move ahead? We're gonna jump into our next topic. AI had its big day on Capitol Hill with Sam Altman, the CEO of tech company OpenAI, appearing before Congress just yesterday to both respond to concerns by the elected officials, but also to raise some of his own concerns. Even the beginning of our clip is gonna be a little bit concerning. Here you have Senator Blumenthal playing a statement that was, as so many statements are these days, generated by ChatGPT.
Too often, we have seen what happens when technology outpaces regulation. The unbridled exploitation of personal data, the proliferation of disinformation, and the deepening of societal inequalities. We have seen how algorithmic biases can perpetuate discrimination and prejudice, and how the lack of transparency can undermine public trust. This is not the future we want. If you were listening from home, you might have thought that voice was mine and the words from me. But in fact, that voice was not mine. The words were not mine. And the audio was an AI voice cloning software trained on my floor speeches. The remarks were written by ChatGPT when it was asked how I would open this hearing.
Yeah, look, honestly, as the senator points out, it is hard to tell the difference between the two, except that once it went back to actually him, he spoke more slowly and made more mistakes than the AI. So technically the AI wins this round, ding, ding. That was concerning. Not necessarily just that the words were generated by him, but that voice training thing, JR, that was haunting. Like that was his voice. I wouldn't have been able to tell the difference.
It's crazy. I wish I'd actually closed my eyes. Usually when people are doing like impressions, you're like, oh man, that guy sounds solely just like Jamie Foxx. And you have to like look away to see if you really feel it. It seems that way. There was a couple of pauses I feel like maybe could have given it away. But again, only if you're looking for it, will you then notice it. I was just talking about this, I think yesterday, about how we kind of don't know where this is, how badly this can go. And yes, we've been talking about the dangers of AI for a minute now. So it's not like a new conversation, but then again, it's a conversation that then people aren't taking, I think, to a degree to realize just how misleading and bad this can be and the things it could cause. We got politicians who are openly, and pundits, even worse, openly and readily able to lie, promote lies to a huge audience, and those audiences believe it no matter what. We got things where it's directly showing what people have done that are on the wrong side of history or the wrong side of a debate and an argument, and they go, yeah, that's our guy, that horrible guy. So imagine if it's a lie about someone's opponent, which obviously is the case. It's not like we can think that political figures are the type that wouldn't want to push lies and then accept them as reality. Check out QAnon, check out Marjorie Greene, Matt Gaetz, Lauren Boebert, Donald F. and Trump. It's the way that they are. So why would they pull back on this level? If nothing else, they're like, please bring it on. We need more misinformation. We need more confusion because that facilitates our confusion towards our constituents, our minions, if you would.
Yeah, it's amazing. And
that's what's coming, bro.
You're 100% right. It is like, we're gonna be fooled even. Like we're gonna do due diligence, but inevitably, in some case, we're gonna get it wrong because it's too good and it's gonna be too common. But by the way, when I say too good, I just mean good enough for the right. Because you gotta remember, it doesn't have to perfectly match the voice of AOC or Ilhan Omar or whatever. And what they say doesn't have to be at all plausible. The right wants it to be true, or they want to pretend that it's true, so they will spread it. The right didn't spread fake news back in the 2016 election because it was plausible. They spread it because it was awesome for them. That's why they did it. And this is gonna be a little bit easier to fool, your grandmother or whatever. And so it is gonna be everywhere. And I'm very worried about it. Not the only one. Here is Sam Altman. Actually, we talked about him earlier, talking about the need for regulation.
OpenAI was founded on the belief that artificial intelligence has the potential to improve nearly every aspect of our lives, but also that it creates serious risks we have to work together to manage. We think that regulatory intervention by governments will be critical to mitigate the risks of increasingly powerful models. For example, the US government might consider a combination of licensing and testing requirements for development and release of AI models above a threshold of capabilities. I think if this technology goes wrong, it can go quite wrong. And we want to be vocal about that. We want to work with the government to prevent that from happening. It's one of my areas of greatest concern, the more general ability of these models to manipulate, to persuade, to provide sort of one-on-one interactive disinformation. I think people are able to adapt quite quickly. When Photoshop came onto the scene a long time ago, for a while people were really quite fooled by Photoshopped images, and then pretty quickly developed an understanding that images might be Photoshopped. This will be like that, but on steroids. There will be an impact on jobs. We try to be very clear about that.
Okay, so look, I think that a lot of the concerns that he's bringing up make a lot of sense. Here's the thing, the CEO of a company calling for regulation of his own company, the own industry his company is a part of, is a great way to get headlines. It is not necessarily a great path in terms of doing the exact thing he's asking for. And I say that because I don't know exactly what sort of regulations are needed. I don't think anybody has a 100% read of exactly what needs to be done, and it needs to evolve over time. But a lot of people have already pointed out that the sort of path forward that he is sketching out would obviously benefit companies that are already large, already well-funded, already have done a lot of this training and all of that. They've already locked in the gains. It's like massively restricting carbon output. Like that affects countries that haven't yet developed a lot more than those that already have and have already gotten the benefit of the prior unregulated periods. So whatever regulations come, I do think have to be equitable when it comes to the gap between those who've been doing this for years and have had tens of billions of dollars of funding and those that haven't yet. But that said, before we get to JR for your thoughts, he was bringing up some fears. I want to jump ahead to video 4 with John Kennedy talking about his different theories of AI.
Hypothesis number 1, many members of Congress do not understand artificial intelligence. Hypothesis number 2, that absence of understanding may not prevent Congress from plunging in with enthusiasm and trying to regulate this technology in a way that could hurt this technology. Hypothesis number 3 that I would like you to assume. There is likely a berserk wing of the artificial intelligence community that intentionally or unintentionally could use artificial intelligence to kill all of us and hurt us the entire time that we are dying. Assume all of those to be true.
Kill us and hurt us all the time that we're dying? Look, I don't know exactly what he's saying. I would wager that I still have a better understanding of what he's saying than he does. But I get the idea that the ignorance of our elected officials could be bad when you're talking about a dangerous technology. So I guess I'll give John Kennedy that. Anyway, final thought goes to you, JR.
I feel like he was searching for a way to I mean, it's already concerning enough, but we have to find some ramped up way to talk about this. And it's just Republican 101. I'm still trying to figure out what the F he's talking about. What, I don't know. One thing though, go ahead. I had a thought that
final point for you.
Distracted me from his thought. But if you guys run that video again, just next me if we have 5 seconds to do so. I'm really trying to figure out, because the whole time as he was rambling slowly, extremely slowly, I was trying to figure out how Shia LaBeouf has gotten the staffing position with, look at him over on the right side of the screen. Is that not
a little bit? That's not actually Shia LaBeouf. That is AI putting Shia LaBeouf's face onto it. I do that for all of our B-roll. Actually, it just makes me more comfortable with the videos that we play. Anyway, we have basically no time, so we're gonna jump ahead to our final topic. Whenever you're ready, feel free to jump into that video.
This week, as a matter of fact, I'd like to let everyone know, welcome to impeachment week.
Thank you for letting us know that it's Wednesday. You already blew half your week. Jesus, this is why you need to get more competent whack jobs for your radical movement. If you're gonna have a week, have the whole week. After all, you've set a high bar for yourself. Impeaching the president, impeaching the vice president, impeaching, in some cases, she says, everybody needs to be impeached. That's what people are put. If we could jump ahead to graphic 3, she talks about the people who are calling in. She says they want to impeach everyone. It's amazing. More to come. We're already into Wednesday at this point. You got to get moving on your impeach everybody thing. Anyway, she has been attempting to do this for literally years at this point. This is coming off of the Durham report was like a total bust. So they're pretending that it's not, but nobody sees anything in it. The Republicans had their press conference the last 2 weeks where they announced that their investigation of the Biden family has turned up absolutely bupkis. They got nothing on that. And so why would that change her opinion on the need to impeach Joe Biden instantaneously? It doesn't, but this is what she's spending her time on. Again, JR, I think we need work requirements for Congress people because she's got the free time. That much is clear. What do you think?
I'm trying to figure out when the legislation's coming. I was totally thinking the same thing. When is the legislation coming? When are we gonna talk about inflation? When are we gonna talk about the border, homelessness? I actually don't care about that at all. Wages, all these things that they're saying the American people care about. Food on the shelves, high cost of groceries and living, all these things that they say they're looking to help folks on. But we're talking about impeachment half week because Marge, I guess, didn't have it together by Monday. Maybe she partied too much over the weekend. Maybe the QAnon party just went way too far. But they've got a half a week to talk about impeachment week. And by the way, how would that look if you impeach everybody? What happens then, Marge? How does that work out? And how do you impeach everyone? Is this a waste of time? Is this just you talking about us? You can then pop on Steve Bannon's show and then Matt Gaetz' show and someone else's show, Rudy Giuliani's show. Who knows? But we've got legislators who are now trying to be media figures and then promote themselves and then do nonsense like this. They're not working. They're not working. The 25-year-old that works at McDonald's is trying to get a normal job, works way harder than Marjorie Taylor Greene. As a matter of fact, if you throw that person in the middle of the same position that she's in, I guarantee they'll do a better job because they'll probably think and go, this is important. I should probably figure out something I should do here. She has no intention of having any thought process for actually doing her job. This is ridiculous.
Yeah, it is. Man. It is embarrassing. I mean, like she makes George Santos kind of look qualified by comparison because he lies more than her, but he does less active damage to the country. Anyway, congratulations to her constituents for re-electing whatever that was. Anyway, with all that said, that's all the time we have for the first hour of the show. Thank you everyone for joining us. If you're on the linear platforms or on the podcast, we appreciate your support. But bear in mind, not only can you support the show by like going on Apple Podcasts and rating and reviewing us, but there's also extra stuff that we do in what we call the aftermath. Little 30-minute show that comes up after the show, and that goes up on YouTube. So feel free to take a look. We'll be back in just a few. Welcome back to the Aftermath, everybody. I'm John Iadarola. Jayar Jackson of the Watchlist is right over there. JR, what's happening on the Watchlist later on today?
Oh, what's happening on the Watchlist later on? Today, you know what? I've said this before, you guys. I'm gonna keep it real. It's never anyone's fault when it's a slow news day. Let me just keep it real. It's a slow news day, you guys, on a Wednesday. But still, my favorite story today is Michael Flynn. He's hawking something new, and it's because of his affiliation with the anti-COVID community. And apparently they're proud, and they want to let you know all about themselves. They're looking to intersperse. It's my favorite story all day. But also Josh Hawley is still on his Manly Man media tour. It's another story where he expands it. Every day I look up and Josh Hawley's back on television talking about how much of a manly man he is. I think you guys can imagine how we're gonna break that down. Lots going on, of course, and also the political news of the day. Marjorie Taylor Greene getting embarrassed when talking about right-wing white supremacist terrorism because she doesn't think it exists.
Yeah.
Good stuff.
The Josh Hawley stuff I just find so like, the grift is so obvious. He's got nothing to say and doesn't care. He didn't write the book. At least write the stupid, pointless book yourself. When I have a pointless, stupid book that comes out, I'll have written the pointless, stupid book. Anyway, okay, with that said, we're gonna read a few of your comments. By the way, I need help from the Twitch community, from one of the mods. I want you to do a poll if you can. Should I get Tears of the Kingdom? I'm just curious what the Twitch community thinks. Do they have my back or do they want me to descend into a video game stasis?
Shed the Tears of the Kingdom?
Oh, get the Tears of the Kingdom. That's the Zelda game. Anyway,
it's called Tears of the Kingdom. Okay, so I'm being totally serious. I'm curious. Okay.
Don't you mock my gaming. Anyway, okay, I'm gonna read a few comments. Jeffrey Stewart says in a super chat, Louis C.K. does a great bit on Goodwill Hunting being a vanity project. It's interesting. I don't think I've ever heard him do that. Okay, thank you for that. May Money to Billing says you should look into what's going on with our sports team in Oakland. It's so hurtful and harmful to our community. Hopefully we can get a WNBA team though. You familiar with that?
I mean, anytime a stadium leaves or a team leaves, it has impact on the community. So I can see that. And thank you, May, for making this, as I talk trash about the Oakland teams that are leaving, making this a serious issue. I understand where you're coming from. Thanks. Jeez, now it's all serious. I can't even talk trash.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know much about the history of it, but that sucks. It sucks. Okay, let's see. James Thompson finally says, I'm retired at 69. I had 19 years, US Air Force, 3 kids, 3 wives, 1 at time, 4 stepchildren, and they want to take away from me. The future's so bright, I gotta wear shades, lots of love, fan. That's awesome. Thank you for your support and for your very eventful life. An awesome full life, that's awesome. Okay. So that said, why don't we jump into a little bit of the ridiculous, starting with this.
This reminds me of the whitewash that the M&M went through when apparently having high heels or wearing high heels was no longer acceptable, right? She was sneakers were put on her. So to me, it removes that control and that agency of these women to say, actually, I love wearing high heels. I love being sexy. I love finding myself feminine.
No, you're not wrong. It is May. It's May, it's 2023. They're still talking about the M&Ms. And if you are gonna talk about the M&Ms to this point, and there's a reason they're doing it, we're gonna get to that. Maybe come up with something interesting or clever to say about it. They took away the M&M's agency. It's not real, it doesn't have agency. And by the way, if having it not wear the heels anymore takes away its agency, because then you're saying it's not allowed to have heels, you don't want it to have sneakers. So you're taking away its agency. Anyway, the reason they're bringing this up is because they think they've come up with the next Bud Light. Because did you know that after Bud Light went woke and went broke, even though neither of those things are true, Miller Lite decided to do it by also going woke. I mean, that's not true. Their ad came out like a month and a half ago. The right just didn't see it until now, but they're all pretending that it came out after the Bud Light thing because that makes the narrative better. Anyway, here's the ad.
Here's a little known fact. Women were among the very first to brew beer ever. From Mesopotamia to the Middle Ages to colonial America, women were the ones doing the brewing. Centuries later, how did the industry pay homage to the founding mothers of beer? They put us in bikinis. Wow. Look at this. Wild. It's time beer made it up to women. So today, Miller Lite is on a mission to clean up not just their but the whole beer industry's Miller Lite has been scouring the internet for all this and buying it back so that they can turn it into good for women brewers. Literally, good
So this came out like a month and a half ago, but they're all mad about it now. They're freaking out. Tommy Lauren's like, no. Miller Lite is my beer. Who is running these companies? Bad move. Charlie Kirk's like, apparently what passes for wisdom in American marketing departments is we'll go woke, but we'll say the S word a lot so our customers will like it. Miller Lite is owned by Coors. You know what to do. And Charlie Kirk is right. They do know what to do. Freak the hell out about something that shouldn't affect their opinion of the product. Because we need to talk about what Miller Lite did wrong here. Miller Lite did an ad to try to get more women to buy their product. That seems like the sort of thing that a company would do. They're apparently wrong to do that. And the particular way that they did that is they pointed out what appears to be true, that women brewed beer before men. You're not allowed to do that. Do not say things that are true. And then they pointed out another true thing, which was that for decades, companies tried to get men to buy their beer by putting women in bikinis, which is a true thing. Again, don't do the thing where you say what's true. You're not supposed to do that. And think about the blindness here. So Charlie Kirk understands that they're trying to appeal by saying the S word, and he has a problem with that. He doesn't have a problem with the fact that they tried to sell a liquid by just having a woman in a bikini that had nothing to do with the beer. That was fine. In fact, they should be obligated to do that still. But how dare they try to appeal to women with literally anything? So the company should be closed down. Miller Lite should go bankrupt because they tried to get women to buy their product. The Dylan Mulvaney stuff with Bud Light was already insane. Dylan Mulvaney hasn't done anything wrong. They were freaking out as if Bud Light was directly appealing to serial killers. But in this case, it's just women. They're just trying to appeal to women, and that is being woke. Trying to appeal to the literal majority of the population is an unacceptable business tactic. Darren, what do you think?
This always frustrates me. There's this loyalty from these types of guys to want to promote their stupidity. Yo, if nothing else, this is a good sign for guys who want to promote that we think for ourselves. I mean, the male movement. We're stuck being pigeonholed. They've been calling certain guys stupid, sexually craved individuals since forever. Aren't you tired of that? Aren't you an intelligent figure? Because what they told you for decades is if we put a woman in a bikini, it doesn't matter what the beer tastes like. It doesn't matter that it sucks. It doesn't matter that the alcohol content is 2.5. Who cares? These dumbasses are gonna buy the beer because we put a woman in a bikini on a commercial, in a print ad, and whatever. But they see boobs and they go, oh my God, I have to drink that beer. And they guzzle it down and they throw up later at their frat parties. And billions of dollars flow through. You're not offended by the fact that maybe now Miller Lite says, we're done making you guys think like you're just these brainless individuals that need to see a couple of boobs and butts to then buy our beers. Now you actually have to care about the taste of the beer. But they go, no, we're dumbasses. Keep giving us the stupidity approach and the dumb commercials that you're supposed to make us want to buy this beer from. Remember those little Carl's Jr. commercials? Is when I was in college. And they had some, they said, hey guys,
Hilton or something.
You don't like to cook, do you? And then they show some idiot trying to make guacamole and he drops a whole uncut an avocado in a blender and watches it bounce around like a dumbass.
And I don't remember that.
Why does this ad appeal? See, why does this ad appeal to guys? I'm supposed to look at the ad and go, yep, I'm a dumbass. I'm gonna buy that Carl's Jr. because I have no idea how to make guacamole. I don't know what a knife is. I don't know what a spoon is. I have no idea how to mix anything. Why is that a flex? We're gonna boycott this beer company because they said women were early brewers. Fact. Then we're gonna boycott them further because they said we're gonna stop with the dumbass ads. Yeah. I'd rather be called a dumbass.
No, look, some people I think will like ads like that because it takes the onus off of them. If the stereotype is that I don't know how to do anything and I shouldn't have to learn, then I don't have to learn anything. That's easy. People love that. People, like I've been saying, it's why conservatism appeals to some people. It's because assuming you're part of one of the elevated groups, the hierarchy makes you automatically better. Not because of something that you've done, but just because you happen to be born, male or white or straight or Christian or whatever. People love automatically being better and not having to do anything. But anyway, the idea that you would fight to have companies manipulate you in a particular way. What the hell is wrong with you, man? By the way, I get that you like women in boobs, boobs in bikinis, I should say. I get that. Do you know that you can see those elsewhere? Like anytime you want, right now. Like I can pick up my phone and in 7 seconds I could be looking at those. You don't need it in the ad necessarily. Why are you fighting so hard for that? And it's not true. It's not, like the ad doesn't mean anything. If you drink the Miller Lite, when the women are in the bikinis, you don't get the boobs. I mean, if you drink enough of it, you might get boobs yourself, because that's how beer works. But you're not gonna get the women. Why do you want to be manipulated? This is not strength. Like it cannot be pointed out enough. Every one of the things that these supposed alpha males done is not an expression of strength or confidence, and it's an expression of deep-seated insecurity and weakness, and a desire to stay in that weak, depraved state. Anyway, we have other stuff that we're gonna be talking about in just a sec, but we just had to remind you that like there's not gonna be any beer left. They're not gonna be able to drink any beer. Well, they'll be able to drink the anti-woke beer that costs like $9 a can or whatever, and it's not even Bud Light. Have fun with that. By the way, that anti-woke beer, I watched that ad. You remember that really like embarrassing ad? I don't remember any bikinis in it. I'm not sure that there weren't any bikinis, but I'm gonna watch it again. And if there weren't bikinis in there, I'm gonna burn this place to the ground. Because how dare you like avoid bikinis? Anyway,
there was baseball though.
There was baseball. That's true, but I'm not gonna choose baseball over boobs. Sorry, I'm a man. Anyway, and I'm very weak and I'm very scared. Anyway, Redember says they care so much about boobs being out for breastfeeding. You think they would be proud that their beer company is going to stop showing them so much? Yeah, that's true. They don't like that. They don't like it being public. Okay, let's jump into this next story. A high school student in Missouri experienced what no student should experience, hearing incredibly offensive racial slurs from their teacher. The student also had the wherewithal to record it. As a result of that, demonstrating indisputably that the teacher was using racial slurs, there was a suspension of the student. We're gonna hopefully work it out by the end, but we're gonna give you the details first. Mary Walton, it's a 3-day suspension on Friday. This is the individual fighting to get it lifted. The teacher, whose name has not been released yet, was put on paid administrative leave eventually. So here is what's on the actual recording and what started the suspension. Walton said the teacher used the N-word 6 times, 2 of which were recorded on her video. Walton wasn't sure what prompted the exchange, yet she said the teacher asked some of her classmates why they were allowed to use a slur, but he wasn't. I don't like the word, the teacher says. It feels like when a black person is using it towards another black person, how is it still not a derogatory word? I don't get it, he continues before being interrupted by someone else explaining that enslavers used to use the term. Quote, is this word, N-word, not allowed? Don't say it right now as a teacher if you want to keep your job, someone says to him. I'm not calling anyone a N-word, the teacher says. I can say the word. Well, sure, you can say the word, but you can't necessarily say the word and being a teacher because there's something clearly wrong with you. Jayar, what do you think?
Yeah, it's it's an age-old thing. We're gonna hear about it in another 6 months. Another dumbass teacher's gonna come out and say, why can't I say the N-word? Are you guys saying it too? By the way, newsflash for many folks who keep asking this question, how come black folks are so open to saying the N-word? Maybe you know more than one that you probably brag to your friends about. But there's many black folks that don't like the use of the N-word. They don't like the black folks use it amongst each other all the time because they then talk about the historical references and say, you guys shouldn't use that term for each other in kind of an endearing way because of A, B, and C. There's many discussions like that among black folks. And there's many folks who go, I don't care, it's fine. I use it amongst my friends because it's just the way it is for me now. But they don't care about those folks. What they want to say is, I need the right to say it. What for? Because again, there's many folks who are getting these back and forth discussions about that are both black folks from this. So he has to have this approach of, I'm gonna tell these students my point of view and what it is that I'm gonna do. Why is that something that you need to do? And he holds on so hard. There was a teacher out in California who said it like 15, 20 times in the student's face, just to prove some point that I can say it. Sure, whatever shackles you need to have released off of you to say the N-word, cool, say it. No one says that you literally don't have the ability to utter the word out of your mouth. It just means there's consequences to it later. And there's also consequence to it for black folks that do it too. Because I guarantee you, if a black teacher says it in the middle of a class, they will also be fired.
Yeah, 100%, very reasonable. And as you point out, we've been through this many times. We're gonna go through this many times. I gotta understand that not everyone pays attention and everything, cares to pay attention. But how are you it's May 17th, 2023. I know this happened a few days ago or whatever. May 17th, 2023. And you just came up with the question, wait, why can you say it, but I can't say it? You're an adult. You just think you think you came up with that. How have you not experienced that we've been through this so many times? I understand not everybody, hosts a show like this or listens to shows like this or whatever, but I at least think that we're trying to build to something. We might talk about similar topics quite often, but the idea is that there's some sort of accrued knowledge, ideally wisdom, that we're building. We're not just repeating over and over again, but so many, we're gonna have when prom is gonna happen, we're gonna have some white kid with a crew cut holding up a sign that says something about black people pick cotton, but I pick you. Because we have to every year, and we're gonna. It's the same thing over and over and over again. How have you not experienced multiple years of news cycles of can't say that idiots like you doing the same stuff over and over again? I just don't get it, Jayar. I don't get it. How is there no learning socially?
It's a power move. It's a structure thing. We should still have control. There's one thing there's a lack of control over, and they're very upset about it.
Yeah. Anyway, really fast. A representative for Springfield Public Schools says the teacher placed on administrative leave, no longer employed now. So that's the good news, I would hope. So supposedly, the idea that you would suspend the student at all, they're saying that it's complying with electronic device recording rules and stuff like that. Maybe. But you know exactly what you did. There would be a way to comply with that, to give the suspension, but make clear that you're not punishing them by balancing it out, by recognizing the fact that it was brave to do this sort of thing. There are other moves that you could potentially make. Anyway, Mary Walton says, I was just confused because I don't know what I did wrong. Yeah, 100%. We need more students that are willing to stand up for what they believe. Look, and by the way, when what you believe is reasonable, which it is in this case, we need this sort of oversight. Okay, we are rapidly running out of time. I'm gonna read just a couple of quick comments. I'm gonna recognize some people on Twitch. Patricia Swan's been here for 26 months, thank you. Ravenlight for 19, Jay Fro for 5, thank you. Nerdopithecus for 16 says Elon Musk is like Lex Luthor if he had hair and a family of farting hamsters living in his skull instead of a brain. I like that. Emo Dragon Katie's been here for 14 months. Rosie Took for 18. Arlen 2 for 32. Thank you so much. Same Melinda Kind Dragon for 31. Great to have you here. Okay, with that said, we don't have much time, so why don't we jump into this? News broke in the last day that Colorado Representative Lauren Boebert has decided to divorce her husband of 2 decades. This was news to the country because, of course, she is a prominent political figure. It was apparently also news to her now former husband, or soon to be former husband, Jason Boebert. He apparently did not get that this was going to happen. According to the Daily Beast, an affidavit of service indicates that Jason Boebert appeared to be caught off guard by the court proceedings. He chased away a process server with an expletive-laden tirade and let his dogs loose when he was served with the divorce papers. According to the process server, once he learned that he was being served with dissolution of marriage papers, he was extremely angry. I tried to hand him the documents, but he didn't take them. He started yelling and using profanities and told me that I was trespassing and that he was calling the sheriff's office. I told him I was leaving the documents on the chair outside the door. He closed the door, then let the dogs out. The server said that Jason at the time was cleaning a gun and drinking a tall glass of beer. Now, Jason denies that any of this is true. He says that he didn't let the dog out, he wasn't drinking a beer, he wasn't cleaning his gun. And I buy a little bit of that, because if I was bringing divorce papers, and I saw that the guy was drinking a beer, not Bud Light, not Miller Lite. Let's be clear, go woke, go broke, and cleaning a gun, I'd come back later. I think. I don't think that I would continue forward while they're cleaning the gun. But anyway, that's what he said. Now, Boebert, of course, has made a career of talking about family values and all that, still very much believes in those. She says it was irreconcilable differences. She says she's grateful for the years that they spent together. She says that she has never been unfaithful or whatever. I don't know why exactly in her statement she pointed that out, but she pointed that out. And so they will be getting divorced. Hasn't said yet if she intends to keep her married surname. It is asking for parental decision-making power and child support for the couple's 4 sons. She says, I do not intend to discuss this matter any further in public out of respect for our children and will continue to work hard to represent the people of Colorado's 3rd congressional district. Very similar to the Steven Crowder thing where like any follow-up questions are immediately met with no, the children. I get it a little bit more in this case, but still she's a prominent figure. And look, I think divorce is obviously an incredibly tough thing. I get no pleasure out of anyone, even reprehensible people like Lauren Boebert getting divorced or whatever. But anyway, JR, what do you think?
Yeah, it's anytime, as you mentioned, divorce, marriage, all this stuff. Whatever reasons that no one ever really sees behind the scenes of people's marriages, why these things happen. Who knows? Maybe Boebert is in a position, Lauren, is a position where she needs to get away from him. We've heard about, the potential violent nature of this guy, partially due to accounts like this of him cleaning the gun in front of folks and letting the dogs out. There's a bit of seems from reports irrationality with this guy and anger and aggression all the time. Maybe she does need to get away from him, right? And maybe she doesn't want to point those things out or say it like that because it may provide some kind of support to other folks who find themselves in these positions. But they do always have to come back to then saying, I believe in marriage, I believe in this and that. Yo, it's okay. A lot of people who you hate believe in marriage as well. Sometimes those people are the same sex. Sometimes those people are trans. Sometimes those people are bi. And the problem is just because you like your style of marriage, which by the way, apparently you have violated because there's this 0 tolerance policy when it comes to folks like this, that you have to have this kind of marriage and the kind that I approve of. And if not, then you're going to hell or God doesn't approve of you or whatever else they're saying. But what about this? When they're judging people so much off of who they want to be able to marry, and then reasons why people maybe sometimes separate and get divorces, and the effect it has on children, for some reason, only when it's them does it matter, and does it then require some privacy, or maybe we understand where they're coming from. I may actually understand where she's coming from. There's a small thing that she can do. Understand other folks too. It's never the case.
Extend that to literally anyone else. But yeah, you pointed out that a lot of Republicans don't like this. I support Lauren Boebert's legal ability to get a divorce, and I will continue to do that as more and more prominent right wingers that she is big fans of say that that right should be stripped away from women. As to the irreconcilable differences, I don't know exactly what it is. It's got to be serious though, because I know what did not count as irreconcilable differences. When Jason was arrested in 2004 for exposing his penis to 2 women at a bowling alley. In 2004, when Jason was arrested on a domestic violence charge. When she was then arrested on a domestic violence charge against him. So they had dueling domestic violence charges. In 2010, Boebert pleaded guilty to a dog at large charge after her 2 pit bulls attacked a puppy. When she was arrested in 2015 for disorderly conduct at a country music festival, which that actually just sounds fun. I'm gonna give her a pass on that. Or when she was charged with careless driving a year later after she rolled her truck into a ditch. Or when they apparently mowed down a mailbox with their truck and then threatened people. So anyway, it looks serious. Hopefully they both get the help and assistance that they need and continue to have the legal right to do the sorts of things that they often try to strip people's rights away from in that area. With that said, we are unfortunately way out of time. Thank you, JR, as always, for being here. It's great to have you on the show. Everyone, definitely check out the watch list coming up later on today. We'll talk to you soon, JR.
Thank you, guys. See you.
Thank you. And everyone out there, we got a lot more to come today. Not only is Indisputable up next, but I'm gonna be joining Anna Kasparian for the 2nd hour of the Young Turks, as well as the bonus episode. And tomorrow, we're gonna have our members hangout. So if you're a tier 3 member, would like to become one, we're gonna be hanging out after the show. For now though, stay safe out there, stay sane out there. I'll see you soon.